I only have 10 minutes, so if this doesn't apply to you and your team, you'll know very soon. So first things first, some great things were mentioned in that talk. That was big. That was big picture stuff that a lot of you are dealing with. But this presentation will bring it back down to ground level a little bit, back down to the early stages of your program. Many of you are dealing with those things now, but tomorrow you may be starting off with a new software company, starting to build your program. You've got to work with the channel team. Maybe you're on the channel team. You'll have to deal with these tough questions. I had a lot of data. I've been talking to tech teams like you for 3 years now as sort of a channel type person, a number of years before that as a digital agency, and then I was VP of growth for a number of platforms in between. The number one thing that causes contention with both agencies and partners is this discussion around reimbursement, payments. How does it work? What matters when it actually moves the needle? And one thing Amit said about the reinvestment of capital into your program is if you put $1 in your program, that is, I think he said 20x what you get out, ROI. I don't believe that applies to this word of commissions. $1 of commissions paid out is owed. It's automated. It is something that is passive. It is something that is expected, right? It is not something that moves the needle. So what we want to talk about today and have an open discussion about it, so if you do have questions at the end, we have a few minutes for discussion, is this word. So who am I talking about? Now, this is super important, too, because we are not talking about your marketplaces, your affiliates, your influencers, the people that you don't know. What we're talking about are partners. Partners are people that you know. These are people that you work with, you shake their hands, you go to events, and you meet them in person. You're partners. Specifically under that is MSPs, digital agencies, service providers. They're the ones that you pay to sell your products, essentially. Now, to answer this question, we've got some data. So we went out to LinkedIn. We went into our community. We have a couple communities. One's all agencies, so we asked them this question as well, and we have those numbers. So 73 votes, not high, but we have another poll that asked the same question, exact same results. About 75% of the agencies we polled, when we asked them if they would stop referring to their tech partners today if they pulled commissions. 75% said no, it's strategic, it is the best, it is the relationship that keeps us in. Then, in Partner Hub, our app, we ask every single agency user this question. What is the main reason you choose to partner, in quotations, of course, it's important that we put that in quotations, with your primary tech partner? Strategic and product were numbers 1 and 2. Third was referrals, and fourth was commissions. What we noticed, too, this is what we played around with, depending on where we put commissions in the list, they sometimes don't even choose it. If we put it at the bottom, they don't even scroll down that far to look for it, and they don't choose it. It is an afterthought is the main thing that we're going after. Now, again, boiling it down to the brass tacks of it. So one of our agencies, one of our actual investors, he does about $20 million a year. For some of you, that may not be a lot, but for a digital agency, that's quite a bit. That's a good agency. He tracks his commissions outside of all of his portals. He's probably got 5 to 10 portals that he has to log into to get these numbers. And this is the CEO. He does this, his time. So he has 142 commission payments in this sheet that he just sent me. He said, check it out. Here it is. I got this in October, so there were about 10 months of payments. The average payment was $49, and the total was $7,000. So if you're doing $20 million in gross revenue, and you're spending hours, I don't know how much time, but just looking at this sheet. And the other aspect of this, and I asked him about this, he has to track that down. He has to argue some of these numbers. He has to go and chase those numbers. I thought that was compelling. This slide, it's important. We don't have to spend too much time on it. But the thought process, so when you're deciding how to build a program, how to structure your program, and this bakes into every decision that you make, and this is why it's important. It's not just whether or not you pay commission. Once you decide what to do with your program incentives, you then have to find software for it. You then have to hire for it. You then have to go after budget. You then have to talk to the teams. Everybody gets involved. And the important thing that you're trying to solve for is growing relationships that get you more business. But when you start to add these complexities to the program, you get down a rabbit hole that is hard to get out of. And you're not stopping to think of the thought process. Really, just put yourself in the shoes of your partner. What are they thinking about, the people internally at those companies, before they send you business? These are some of the things they think about. Interests of the clients, we heard that. Alignment with their tech stack. The product quality, of course, they're going to check your reviews, all that great stuff. The potential for new business and referrals. So once they get done thinking about whether the product is a fit for their strategy, their client needs, quality, the immediate next thing is, okay, well, if I'm going to invest my time in this, are you going to reciprocate? Are you going to put me on stage? Are you going to bring your MDFs to sponsor my stuff when I need it? Are you going to train my team? Are you going to reinvest in us and bring us business? How are you going to bring us business? Trust, of course, comes later, and then support and training. A couple of quotes. So underneath that thread that had 73 votes, there were some interesting quotes, so I just pulled them out. Samir here, he runs Query. It's an awesome e-commerce agency. His issue with incentives and commissions is trust and bias. So he tells his software vendors, his partners, let's figure out a way to get those commission dollars back in either discounts for my clients, something that I can do for my clients. How can I reinvest that in the relationship? That's his big thing. And if they don't have an answer for him, he just says, don't pay me. I'm not going to track it. Don't even give me a login. I don't want it. Another really awesome agency I think many of you work with, the Gorilla Group. Chris over here, his big thing, and he has this conversations with most of his partners that are getting into we've got some bigger commissions going on. He wants you to reinvest that. He wants you to say, okay, well, let's expect to have about $20,000 in commissions owed to us over the course of a year. How can we take that and put it into an event together? How can we put that into some content that we're creating together? How can we reinvest that into our partnership? One of our other investors, Pete Caputa, hopefully you know this man. If you don't, follow him on Twitter. It's a great Twitter follow too. He told me the story early on in the creation of the partner program at HubSpot. So he built HubSpot's initial partner program. He was in a conversation late at night with Brian, CEO of HubSpot at the time, I think he still is, about commission. And Pete was adamant, we should not pay commission. He had built and tested and proven the concept of his program when they were creating the structure, and he had not paid commission. And Brian said, no, we're paying commission. He asked why. He wondered why. He said, I'm CEO, we're paying commission. And then it becomes a negotiation of how much, 20%, 30%, which honestly really doesn't matter. Brian was dead set on 30%, and it became the rollout. I don't know what it is today. There's multiple tiers. It's all very complex today, but this conversation, I think, is killer. And it's killer because when you look at DataBox, what he's done with DataBox has a very high affinity program. Their partners love them. They do not pay commission. They haven't. I don't know if they will eventually, but they haven't. And they have succeeded. So how can we repurpose these commissions? What to do? So some advice from me, some questions to ask amongst yourselves. But first, I switched the slide, so apologies there. But one more quick poll that we had. This one comes from straight out of our community. That's where this data comes from, and I have links to all this if you want to check it out. But in our community, we ask agencies when they onboard to type in the feed. We have a running poll. There's like 400 answers. What is your feedback on partnerships? Your tech partnerships, what's the feedback, right? Most of those responses are negative, those that decide to give us a response, unfortunately. Some are really good, and we mentioned the ones that are really good in an article. But we took all of those responses, and we categorized them. So the response is about a client that they sent over, and they got put into a communication loophole. Okay, that's communication. Or they got something happened between the two when they were negotiating. One person thought this, another person. That's communication. So we organized and added up all of these answers, and communication was by far the number one reason why these agencies felt that they were not partners, or they had a bad experience, or they got out. Many of them withdrew from the program because of these communication issues. And you think about it, especially as the agency gets bigger, you're dealing with people, each person inside that agency, and your tech partners. It's the exact same thing. You have a B2B relationship with the company that is contractual, yes. But when you're partnering, you are dealing with a person. That person has other things going on. They have other priorities than you. If you are not communicating effectively, if you don't have a very solid process and everybody's on the same page, we call it a partner memorandum, a partner track, we have templates for all this stuff. If you don't have that in place and everybody's on the same page, and when they hire a new person, that person is also brought up to speed, if that is your point of contact. That's a communication issue. That breaks partnerships. You'll lose them just off of that. No referrals is the second thing. Of course, everybody wants referrals, and I know we can't send referrals to everybody. You do not have to. All you have to do is create a culture, create processes internally, and create product that will bring those that participate in your program referrals. Traffic and conversions. How do you place partners throughout your funnel to make sure that they are getting referrals from your business? It doesn't have to be an email intro. I just want to mention that. Some areas to focus on. Communication, mention that. Reciprocity, simplicity, and integrations. We're here to talk about integrations today for the most part. Yes, if you do not have a well-built integration to that agency's primary tech partner, you probably don't have a chance. That's table stakes, I believe, at this point. Better uses for that money. So I was in a conversation with Corey Snyder. I don't know if he's here last night. He's got a new program he's got to deal with, right? And one of the things that we talked about is, okay, well, hypothetically, you went to your CEO and you said, we are planning to have this many partners. And on average, each one of those partners is going to bring in this much business, which could equal this much commission if we paid them X amount. Plus, there's the stuff that we have to purchase to manage that commission. Plus, there's all this other stuff going on. That's a budget. That's money that could go this way or could go this way. What if we reinvested that money? What if we took that money and we spiffed our top partners, those that are really working with us closely? Spiff their salespeople. Those are the people that are going to be sending you business, not the company. Send them some cash. Send them some gift cards. Creating magnanimous events like this one. Funding the creation of a course. Shopify does this with a number of our agencies. They pay them $5,000 to create a course. Hell yeah, that's a great use of the money. Market development funds, this rolls up the last two, and then sponsored content, that's an easy one. You've got $500 laying around, go to your top agency, say, hey, let's create some content together. I'll flood $500 in PPC traffic at that content. That's something you can do to solidify the relationship, and it's easy. Okay, so for CMOs, for CPOs, and CEOs, if you are not helping your channel managers, I don't know who here is a CEO, CPO, or CMO. If you're not helping your channel team succeed, your channel team will not succeed. So this is more for you. The best programs that we work with that we believe are doing it better than anyone else, product and marketing is at the core of their partner program. They have a product-led approach to partnerships. Airtable is the #1 requested partner program out of our community. I know it's new. They just launched their formal partner program. But it is #1 because everybody's involved, and they're just in there and building stuff. And then they say, well, I'm actually kind of a partner. I'm an expert, and who do I go to? So they ask us who they go to, and we didn't have an answer, but I think there's an answer now. Databox, of course, Webflow, who's here. Shout out to Ethan. Smith.ai, killer partner program. Theirs is more of a marketing-focused partner program. So if you don't have buy-in from your product team, if you can't get them to build out the templates and the directory and the stuff that you need to succeed, go to your marketing team, work closely with them. And then, of course, we all know what HubSpot does. Last thing I'll say, actually, I have one more slide after this, but the cowboy mentality, I think we all know you've got to forget about that. I don't care if you are the best product on the market. If you have a cowboy mentality where you believe that they'll come to you, that you believe you can just go out there and win without any help, you are going to lose. And I see this so often. Hard truths about channel. I think this will split the room a little bit. Commissions will not be a factor in a digital agency's decision to send their clients to your product. This is supposed to be #2, but you see, I messed that up. Marketing and product have more to do with partnership success than the partnership team. #3, if your CEO does not believe the company is reliant on partnerships to be the category leader, you probably won't succeed in partnerships. It doesn't mean your company won't succeed. That means if the CEO and the CMO and the CPO, everybody has to be rallied around this idea that if you want to be the category leader and stay there, you have to have a partnerships strategy, and you have to have a great team underneath, and you have to support that team and do everything you can to make sure they win. If you need more on this, we are doing a virtual event May 12th, so I'll send out links. I think I have emails to the opt-ins for when that's going. And that's it.